let us not assassinate this lad further, Senator. You've done enough. Have you no sense of decency, sir? At long last, have you left no sense of decency?
I know this hurts.
Two of the topics today, the second being KP, the first, well, we gotta go to the land of tea and civility, to British Brony land. First, in the blue corner, this is the editor. Well, not the biggest Brony analyst in the community. He's well-liked, respected, but sadly, we're not here to talk about Special Ed's Warhammer 40k fetish. For the record, there's nothing wrong with that. So about 2 years ago, Mintheart and an older gentleman had a thing, and I don't actually know all the full details, but from what I was told, that the editor slammed on the brakes when he found out Mintheart's age. Now, I could bring up Mintheart kept threatening to strong-arm Ed and bring it to the public eye, despite this being, from what I was told, by all accounts, a mistake. I did double-check to see if this was morally in the right, and I ran this by Leo Convoy, who agreed Ed made the right decision and stopped whatever he was doing with Mint. Now, we're going to put a pin in that. We're getting to the second British Brony. In the pink corner, this is Fusion. I want to grade on a curve here. So once upon a time ago, Fusion had an ERP chat with one of his members as low as 15. Testing. Alright, let me see if I can get my inner cunt English voice right. Hey, that's about it. I'm from Brighton. There we go, we got it right there. Well, just woke up. I was in the middle of jerking off. I couldn't sleep that well because I was so hyped after my video dropped. CX. But now I'm fully rested. Hey, it's natural. Everyone does it. Oh, come on. That's what happened like weeks ago. Can't you get over it? It was just a bunch of texting back and forth. Should be that hard to get over. What is it? Yeah. And yeah, sorry for the whole 15-year-old thing. People are trying to label me as a pedo, but I honestly just said what I said just to be funny. Hell, that 15-year-old even took it as a joke. Where I live, the age of consent is 16, so I put the not safe for work chat at 16 years old and up, but I'm gonna change it right now. Shine your shoe, sir? The ERP chat is already deleted. I took care of it just now. I don't want people to be getting the wrong idea. No sorry, boss. Now I understand life is busy, and had this been a post from one of Fusion's mods, maybe he simply wasn't dialed into his Discord. That would be understandable. Now, I believe at the time of this, Fusion was 19. I did ask around, is Fusion just a dumb kid or a pedophile? And the consensus was, dumb kid. The chat logs show that you can appreciate, that you understand why you wouldn't want people to get the wrong idea. You valued that, you respected that, and that's the same respect I tried to give everyone that I've sat down and talked to, whether it be Performance Major, Dusky Novel, and more recently Victor Vortex and Headlong of Equestria, and I hope to God be willing I can find out I had the wrong idea about these people. It's to avoid incidences, like Spocter Theory or Photoanon, sorry again, and if mistakes do happen, you take the time to walk them back. So Fusion, I want you to explain to me, if Ed's a pedophile, how aren't you a bigger one? Hell, I'm kinda confused when Munchkin ran into you when she did. Why didn't she just reply back, crikey, aren't you that guy that jerked off on that 15-year-old's shoes? You would have gone into an ass ball, pissing yourself. I had a conversation with myself and Fusion, but he claimed that my audio wasn't working so that he could scream over me, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. So Fusion, maybe I misunderstood. Was that a 15-year-old or an adult ERPing as a 15-year-old? Because one's creepy and one's illegal. I also find it funny that you talk about settling when you talked about Crimson Glow. The whole time that you were in limbo, you were painfully shy and socially awkward. It's the same reason why, till this day, had Event Horizon would have actually slapped the shit out of you, I would have dropped you like a rock. Why would anyone settle for you? It's certainly not your sterling voice, which is amazing. You're like literally the only British guy I know whose voice isn't the least bit whimsical. I mean, what kind of woman would be attracted to you? Now, I have to cut a few things. There are some names that likely wouldn't want to be involved, including the people who went to bat for Fusion, but you're free to show them yourself. Fusion, I'm going to tell you what I told Leo Convoy. Radio edit. You couldn't bust a grape. It's why ZD, among other people, got a response initially from me, and you didn't. I was originally going to speculate that Fusion knew about the editor thing for months, but I had no proof. Till I secured this screenshot. It was bad enough when Fusion covered Frost, an orbiter guy who was dating a younger girl trying to wait for her to become old enough to be in an intimate relationship. Fusion took over a month to get that out. The most recent video about the editor, that Fusion's impending and completely necessary video to warn us that the editor, this pedophile, is a creep that he knew about for months! I want people to consider this. Remember, when people throw up their hands, when the X-Toon crew, Josh Scorcher and Silverquill, etc., took, what was it, a week, 2, and got caught, all hell broke loose, which, don't get me wrong, I've commented on that at length in several videos. It's a good thing if the editor was such a ghoulish, child-mulching monster that Fusion managed to get off his dumpy, fruity ass to warn all of us, and it took months. So either he's a lying sack of shit, or he's grossly fucking negligent. Also, for those of you who think that Mintheart has turned over a new life, same old, same old. Good eye, Quillstroke, good eye. So, what's crawled up Fusion's ass? I think he's been upset ever since I made him lose his Shota Loli harem. Thank you, fuck you, bye. And yes, Fusion, you bended a knee and did what I told you to, like a bitch. On to the main course. Brief forward, we're jumping in about 3 minutes for a disorganized video talking about a series of issues.
You know, a lot of people died in the tsunami, but don't worry, I didn't. And I'll be here to entertain you and love my life for many, many years to come. Me.
Horrible person I was, and it was really scary, and I felt like I had done something so wrong that people couldn't be honest with me about it, that people felt justified to gossip and to draw attention, and, you know, it was really hard to see people I thought who were my friends, who were aware of my situation or aware of something that was happening to me and were being vocal on social media, but they didn't even try to say, like, not even on a public platform, to even try to contact me directly in a private manner in a text or something and say, hey, are you okay? And it really hurt. And I also had a lot of people telling me this was my fault, because that's what you tell someone with trauma. I won't give names.
I feel bad, ergo you guys should have taken a knee and considered how I feel. I'm still not hearing an apology. This is more of KP blaming everyone else but herself. Now, don't get me wrong, the fandom isn't perfect. We don't have to look any further than the Toon Critic scandal. You know, the one where KP didn't bother to talk about that at all? Surely that'll be in here somewhere.
And later, and I didn't realize till later what was happening when other people told me stuff directly and helped me understand more of the situation, I suppose, but it still didn't make everything okay. Like, I still have these issues even now, and it's just really scary because it's something I've had to constantly deal with.
So let's talk about this. Two of the guys that KP does get her intel from are Jack Nolan, her former bodyguard, and Big Z Little D at length, and I've talked about how fully out of touch you are. ZD is an insufferable kiss ass, and I don't even have a comparable example. And keep in mind, for a fandom full of kiss asses like Jerry Pete, that speaks volumes. Rachel, you've bent over backwards to isolate yourself from the fandom. I remember you getting huffy and leaving Toon Critics pre-BC chat back in 2015 just because we dared to be active in there. If KP is trying to spin a yarn that she is a chatty Cathy, this is simply just not true. I'll admit, I've not been super active in the fandom recently, but outside of ZD, I don't recall a goddamn person who has turned to me and said, "Oh, if only you knew the Rachel I knew, you just would have the wrong idea." Also, think about that. There are tons of people in the fandom I don't like. Dr. Wolf, Silverquill, Jerry Pete, Jack Nolan. I had more, but I would have had a hard time finding someone to stick up for the people that I would have listed next. Most of these people have at least 1 or 2 defenders to their character. The most positive story that I've ever heard about KP was from Sweetie Bloom, where Sweetie Bloom was working on a brony project, and in the chat they started to reminisce and talk about Christmas traditions and their fond memories, in KP being Hebrew, Jewish, whatever, not making a joke. She gave a good-natured laugh. Meanwhile, Dr. Wolf gave an insistent ahem because the motherfucker couldn't show some real fucking humility and let people enjoy some Yuletide spirit. But then again, when you compare someone as shitty as Dr. Wolf to someone else, it's not hard to come out ahead.
Accountability because they don't really understand what the other person had to go through. It's just stupid bullshit. And a lot of times I would just stay up and like relive things and try to figure out what exactly happened even before I kind of realized I kind of knew more information. But yeah, it just, even now I'm just like, oh god, did I do that thing that might have scared that person? Like, I was afraid to talk to people because I felt like people weren't going to be honest with me about just about anything really. I'm still kind of afraid of people. I still struggle with isolating myself because people are gross and people hurt other people, and it just hurt. In general, I felt betrayed by a larger amount of people, like a community that I was, serving, I was making content for. I just saw the most disgusting of human nature, that people, even when they were caught, lied about different aspects of their involvement just to avoid consequence.
I'm gonna be completely honest, KP. I just don't like you. But if you asked me who didn't like you, who, what, where, why, and when, I would tell you. The offer is still on the table, and when I say you, I don't mean your little micro-macro mutant. I mean you. I will admit this is potentially a bluff, but I want to be able to say that you're talking out your ass. But if you do ask me, I will tell you. Fuck, we could stream it if you want. If you think I won't go through with it, I went into old Jerry's Discord when he dared me. I think I could manage talking to you. Or you could go back to having ZD and Jackie jerk you off, and I'm pretty sure you'll choose the latter. So I want to touch upon where this video really went up. Horse News' website goes down, and I go into semi-retirement. Well, sorry KP, we're gonna back up the truck for you. Or onto you. As for medical, what have you done and stress? Yeah, I can imagine the stress. I'm not a doctor, I don't have a DSM-5 handy, and I have far less of the right training to use the damn thing. But I have seen people in the past, you know who you are, use mental illness as a stick to beat off criticism and use their impairments as a get-out-of-jail-free card. So the lazy, safe thing to do would be to call KP as acting like AJ the Autistic Pony right now, but I'm afraid it's a bit deeper than that. As for trauma, I've legit had to sit in a call where I had a fan of mine talk about dysphoria and talk about the need for self-mutilation. That person doesn't have a hug box of people to pick them up. I spent all of Thursday where every time I closed my eyes I could just imagine how small my own personal bullshit and the crap that I put up with is so thoroughly fucking significant that some people, when compared to some of the problems that other people have at no fault of their own. Dear KP, I have a dream where love and tolerance is paved in the blood of insincere cunts who have self-aggrandizing videos blowing themselves to say that I am sickened and repulsed doesn't do you justice, and every time you talk about professionalism, it takes me every ounce of my personal strength not to choke to death in my own vomit. To say you were off-putting is underselling it. If you were a dead canine, Carol the Wolf wouldn't fuck you.
Just be supportive of each other is the best thing I can say, especially in a fandom like this. I've become a little bit disillusioned in its sense, but I hope this video will bring out some of the positive aspects by being able to help each other either communicate better or deal with things that are harder down the road. So feel free to share your mental health stories or just talk about basically anything that you found interesting in the comments. I'll be checking to see what you guys are saying. I keep on saying this, but I hope this video helps others heal.
Sweet mother of God, this feels like it was ripped straight out of Mundane Matt's video. So that answers one of my questions. ZD wrote this script for you. Stop trying to sound enlightened. Instead of trying to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you wallow in your own crapulence. It nurtures you. It sustains you. It feeds you! When this fandom dies, I'm gonna be sad. But I know what I'll do to pick myself up in an instant. I will head my way over to the smoldering hole in the ground where your channel used to be. You petulant pissant, you pulsating pecker protruding from the planet's pelvis. Climb onto the top of your bloated ego and do a backflip. It's the least you can do. So the other day, and this pains me to do this, because when I popped on Discord, I got a message from Looney, and I looked at it, and he had like a Google Doc like listing off all the people in that How Not To Brony.
I saw that a couple days ago, and I made fun of him for it. Anthony's fucking ruined, y'all.
No, I looked at it, and he's like, well, you know, for someone who likes to credit anybody, and he listed off, and he showed like Crowne Prince and Lilac Galaxy and fucking I'm trying to remember who the hell else. I think maybe Bubba Boo or Androgenous Garbage and shit, and the Azua artist you were just mentioning. And I'm sitting there and I really thought about it, and I'm like, I'm usually pretty good at this, and I could defend Crowne Prince because Crowne Prince is in the goddamn title and the animation of the channel, but theoretically he was right, and I was like, I'm just gonna credit it. I don't want this to come back and bite me in the ass and have Looney crack me for the same way that I've sucker punched Lily Pete. So I was like, eh.
No, I don't know. I was like, the first thing I was like, hey, have you talked to Mary? And you were like, no, I want art.
Haven't you been
art. Oh, Anthony Aguilar never changed. You know?
I did go through a lot of stuff. It took like a while. It took a couple of months to go through that artist, and it didn't, pan out that well. I paid well. We originally canceled, and I didn't go back. I was satisfied.
You credited them before, though.
Yeah, I did buy them, and I did
for the same art.
It's the one he's talking about is the one who did the Arab background. And it's also it's me and Lilac in the finished picture, but they originally sent me just the background without her.
Oh wait, art you paid for?
Yeah.
You own that. That's yours. What are you talking about?
I feel it's usually good form to credit it the first time.
Yeah, it is good form, but frankly, I don't feel that you have to. It's a process you made.
That's like Skrelly going, well, this album belongs to the WuTang Clan. No, it doesn't. It belongs to him. Well, it belongs to the fucking U.S. government now, but I think the WuTang album is a good example for who owns art. The man who bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The man who paid for it owns the art. He decides what gets done with it. Like, that's the end of the story. Like, yeah, they get credited once. No one will know the WuTang Clan's last album because they'll never hear it because Skrelly owns it, you know?
Skrelly's a fucking cunt.
Who is?
I would have. That's the thing. He was actually hedging himself against Shire Pharmaceuticals or against Merck Pharmaceuticals buying out Shire.
I was gonna say, hey, Shire, what did fucking Middle Earth finally get healthcare?
No, Shire's a pharmaceutical company who got bought out by Merck.
I know. I was making a joke.
Yeah, no, I got it. No, it's funny, but Skrelly would have done. Skrelly did the same thing that anyone else would have done. He was just like this quintessential, just like, oh, here's a good person to get a bad reputation for. He won't let us hear the Wu-Tang album because we didn't pay for it, and he knows he'll never make his money back trying to sell people downloads of it. Like,
well, hang on, unless I'm getting him mixed up with somebody, some other SH last name.
Pharma bro, dude.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, he is a giant fucking cunt, and not just for the Wu-Tang shit, but also for the crap he pulled with
insurance companies should just pay for the difference. It doesn't he passed the fucking buck to the insurance companies. Who cares? That was just insurance companies trying to make themselves look like the good guys.
Then also,
oh look, no, it's these pharmaceutical company executives, the opioid crisis, Pharma Bro, Wu-Tang album, like
that's a thing, I guess.
The insurance companies could have easily paid for the price difference of the medications that he raised the price on. It happens all the time. They just had a fucking poster boy for a fall guy for a fucking asshole to fucking pin it all on. Like, are we getting a bad deal on fucking medical care? Yeah, kind of an open secret on that one, isn't it? On
to a brighter subject.
No, it's like I'll say Shkreli is like what, like if I were that rich, like if I had found myself in that position, and I'd been that rich, I'd be like, I don't know, I guess I'll pay Wu-Tang to record an album for me. I do not know what to do with all this money. Fucking buy a new microphone. I bought a whole recording studio. What do I guess I'll get Wu-Tang in there. I wouldn't know what to do with that kind of fuck you money. So I kind of get where he was a hipster billionaire asshole.
Well,
good, let's hate him.
I guess you can always buy a super yacht.
Oh God.
Oh man, I want with a hydrogen fuel cell. With a hydrogen fuel cell.
You could write a check for like $55 million and send it to those poor sons of bitches down in Flint and tell them, here, fix your goddamn water.
Fix your water. I have a large amount of money. I'm a super villain. Now just go full. I didn't know what else to buy but the Shkreli tapes. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Girly Max. Fucking, what was that? Venture Brothers in St. Cloud.
Oh my God.
I have. So what is your evil power? I have a lot of money. Yeah.
Hold it. Pinto's a dude? I just looked at this fucking tweet. I'm gonna ask that question.
Wait, you didn't.
Hang on, let me pull this up.
Pinto is a dude?
Oh,
I don't know.
well then, you learn something new every day.
I have no conclusion.
Yeah.
I always assumed Pinto was a dude.
Okay. I've heard her in call.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I've heard all kinds of crazy things in calls before.
Yeah.
Man. But Pinto's not a dude is Anthony Aguilar's hot take on that.
Okay.
I always assume Pinto, see this thing, I never heard the person's voice. So I just assumed it. I don't know why I assumed that. That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh?
Not gonna bother.
No, that's fine.
No, I was talking to myself because I was trying to make a decision on whether I should put my new channel trailer up on Twitter or YouTube first.
Well, it's your channel trailer, so it might make sense to put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, I was also considering that because one of my friends has shite internet, and he's like a professional picture and video editor. So I figured he'd be able to give me some pointers while he's at work. But he'd only be able to see it on Twitter.
Well, that's an interesting thing I just found.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
You remember Mordecai, right?
Vaguely.
Yeah, that's the one from the fucking Kira thing. They're just
mentioning
an artist here. Not going to publicly mention them, but which I would have. But it's just sad because I saw.
Yeah, no fucking shit.
I see a bunch of anti-trans stuff in their favorites. Okay, curious to see what the fuck that is, including correlating between transgender to genital mutilation and phrases for trans women I think that are considered slurs. Genital mutilation, that's a stiff one.
Wait, is this person, who are they talking about?
I don't know, they didn't say. But I was just sat there and said, well, that's a pretty random one out
Not
of the
going to
blue.
publicly mention them, but it's just sad because I see a bunch of anti-trans stuff in their favorites.
That's Venus is a bun for anybody listening in.
Oh.
I only remember the name because P.K. Russell was making fun of it back in the day. I usually remember it was Mordecai because that's what Jim said.
All right, let's throw this up.
What up?
My trailer. I think I've cut it and did all my little edits. Oh, for God's sake! It's a different J-Rock song. It's more like J dubstep.
Who wants to see a cat on a Segway?
Sure.
Like a cat-sized Segway?
I don't know what to think here.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's make the box there. Okay.
See if it's meowing. Okay, that's enough of that.
Oh.
Alright,
What the hell?
Is the cat on the Segway?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to share that with somebody. I have a series of people I show retarded cat pics to.
I like retarded cat pics.
Hold on a
Well,
second.
it's in the chat.
Hey! Shut the fuck up. What the fuck is this? Alright, I'll catch y'all later.
No problem, boss.
Alright.
Alright.